Conscious Connected Breathwork is an incredibly transformative self-healing modality that has been gaining a lot of popularity in the therapeutic world, in the somatic healing world, due to its ability to process and resolve stored memories within our body. It allows us to access emotional baggage and safely process stored trauma that we might have been carrying for years in a really embodied way. However, due to this very deep, therapeutic, powerful technique that allows us to go into these places, a lot of care must be taken. So in this video, I want to share with you 7 safety considerations to consider before you start working with Conscious Connected Breathwork. So the first thing to consider is contraindications. Now, contraindications are basically physical or psychological reasons why this practice might not be suitable for you. So I'm not going to go through them now because it's quite a long list, but I've actually attached a link to contraindications in the description below for you to read through. So it's really important, if you know that you've got any of these, that you should not be practicing in this quite deep, powerful form of breath work. There might be some other great options for you, like functional breathing, pranayama, some box breathing. They might be really helpful for you, but maybe this powerful therapeutic practice is not right for you at this time. The second thing to consider is to speak with a facilitator if you know you've got any other concerns that you're not sure about, whether it's maybe you've had high anxiety recently, or you've got a history of depression, or you've got PTSD, or maybe you've had surgery or an operation or a physical health concern that isn't on the contraindications list, but you're not sure if it will be suitable for you to do it. Always speak with a practitioner before you start the session, whether you email them, speak with them on the phone. At worst case, speak with them on the day, because if they say it's not suitable, you really want to make sure you honor that and keep yourself risk-free and safe. Third thing to consider is consent and boundaries of touch. Now, not all Conscious Connected Breath workshops involve touch. However, when I run workshops, I utilize touch, and in my one-to-one work, touch is a key part of my work. It's a double-edged sword, touch. Touch not only can offer co-regulation on the positive side, it can help us really feel into areas that might be holding in the body. It gives us the opportunity to release holding patterns, tension patterns where there might be trauma or emotion stored. However, on the flip side, it can also be quite triggering. You know, certain areas of the body might trigger an old memory or an emotion that maybe we're not ready to deal with at that time. Or maybe there's areas of soreness in your body from recent surgery or just tender spots. It's really important that you consent for touch during the session. Your practitioner should always ask consent for touch. And if you've got any areas that you feel are a little bit more sensitive or you don't want touched, then just write it on a little post-it note to the side of your mat so that your practitioner knows where you don't want to be touched. Really important. Fourth thing is resourcing. Now, resourcing is a way that we can deal with moments of maybe high levels of charge in our body, maybe when our system's feeling a bit overwhelmed, or there's a big emotion under the surface and we're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by it. So resourcing is a way we can really regulate the nervous system and come back to a place of safety and connection. So we've got a lot of different ways to resource during a Conscious Connected Breath session. Firstly is external resourcing. If it's feeling too much, simply open your eyes and just tune into the room. Just realizing that you're just in a studio, you're just in a room, you're not in any danger. Simply by doing that can really offer the nervous system, the brain, some cues of regulation. You might tune into the music. Maybe the music's quite soothing, noticing the music. Or maybe just feeling into the floor underneath you, maybe just touching the earth, feeling the connection of the earth. You know, the earth gives us an opportunity to notice where our body is in space. We have proprioception in our body, so by sensing into the earth, feeling into the weight of our body, that can quickly give cues of safety and create a state of parasympathetic in the nervous system. And then on an internal way of resourcing is by using our imagination. We can create an imaginal scene with a place, a person or a pet that offer us sense of care, offer us a feeling of safety, offer us a feel of love, of support, we can create those imaginal experiences in our brain, in our imagination, when we need them the most. So if we're going through an emotional release of sadness, we can visualize a person who we'd want beside us during that emotion. Or if we're feeling overwhelmed with fear, we can visualize ourselves in our safe space at home, maybe under a blanket, or we can visualize ourselves on a beach that felt very safe at one point in your life. Very powerful way. The brain doesn't know the difference between what is perceived and what is real, so our imagination can offer a great way to soothe and regulate our overwhelmed nervous system or an overwhelmed emotional release. Nose breathing is another powerful way to shift out of states of anxiety or shift out of places of overwhelm during a session. So if you are utilizing mouth breathing for this conscious connected breath practice, simply close the mouth, breathe through the nose slowly. You might want to emphasize the exhale if you're in a state of that fight or flight response. Emphasizing the exhale through the nose can slow and bring that system back into a place of parasympathetic. Titration and pendulation is another thing to consider. So these are two technical words in the field of trauma healing, especially Peter Levine, who created them. Now, titration is about allowing just a small amount of energy out at a time in your body. So if we've got trauma stored in our body, we don't want to unleash it all at one go. It will totally overwhelm our system. We won't know what to do with that energy. So we want to compassionately, curiously go to those places where we know there might be some emotion or some stored trauma, and allow a little bit of that energy stored there to come out at a time. We work with the energy that comes through, so we let a little ripple of that energy wave through our tissues, move, create the emotional release, move through movement, and then we find a place of safety. We pendulate between that experience of emotion, where we might touch into some uncomfortable memories, and when we find a place of safety, we pendulate backwards and forwards, safety, experiencing the emotion, safety, experiencing the emotion. So we shift between these two places, which is known as pendulation, and we use titration to let a small amount of energy out at a time. These huge cathartic releases that you see online is probably not healthy. It might look like there's a big release happening, but in terms of the resolution of that release, is that going to help that person in the long run? Probably not. So it's really important that you work with this consciously, work with it slowly, so that you feel in control, and so that you can utilize your prefrontal cortex to integrate that experience that wasn't able to be integrated in the past. So following on from that is know your capacity. So only you know how much you can deal with in that present moment. You might normally have quite a big capacity to deal with stress in your daily life. Maybe you've got a stressful job, but maybe during the session you're just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Maybe there's some noises around you, or someone's irritating you, or you've just had a bit of an irritating or stressful morning. You might not be able to deal with as much stress or as much energy moving through your body as you might normally. So just know within yourself what your capacity is on that day, and work with that, no matter what the facilitator says, or no matter what the music is trying to elicit, whether it's trying to push you into more deeper, more forceful breathing. If it feels too much for you, slow it down. Know your capacity. Only you can be in control of your body. And then the final one is integration. So integration is how we really make the most out of this work. It's no use just having a huge processing during a session and then just going straight back to work or straight back to your daily life without taking time to really consider what's the lesson from that process. What's the narrative that can be shifted moving forward. Maybe you can decide to stop living from a place of victimhood and live in this empowered place of consciousness moving forward. Maybe forgiveness is needed. Maybe you need to offer yourself more love, more self-compassion. Maybe you need to make new choices based on what you've experienced during a session. New decisions, new routes in life. It's really important, whether it's through journaling or by speaking with a friend, or maybe even speaking with a therapist or a practitioner, that you give yourself space, you give yourself time to integrate your experience. It's a key part that is often missed, so always make sure there's time for integration after a session. So that covers it. 7 things to consider. safety precautions, safety measures, if you will, to consider before using and exploring conscious connected breath. Really important that this very powerful transformative modality is done in a safe, loving and caring way. We want this to be transformational. We don't want it to take you two steps back in a way if it brings up something that you're not ready for, or if it causes too much stress in the system. We want it to create healing. We want it to create resolution. So know your limits and be safe with it. So take care and speak soon.